Is that you, Chloe?
What?
That noise
What noise?
in the background?
What noise?
All right, guys, welcome back to another live episode of Mental Theater. And Chloe, it does sound like it is.
I don't know where it's coming from.
All right. Are you sure? It's coming from your computer.
It's on mute.
Okay, we're good. But yes, Chloe, we're back. Avengers are back. So we got to talk about your favorite show on Disney Plus, Loki. Give us your overall thoughts as, for the series as a whole, in addition to the series finale, which is controversial.
Wait, are we okay? So we're only talking about as a whole in the last episode, not all of them, right?
No, I said as a whole, all of them, like
okay.
Series as a whole, and then the finale specifically.
All right, so Loki. So number one, I love Thor. Like I love Thor, and I was excited when I heard about the Loki. I didn't even know about it. Josh told me about it, and I was like, all right, whatever. Let's see where this is going. So when the first episode happened, it takes after he stole the Tesseract, and that's what was that? Avengers.
The first one.
Civil War.
It's the first one.
Endgame.
The first one.
What's the first one?
The first Avengers.
Oh yeah, the first Avengers. So he took the Tesseract, and then it shows what happened after he disappeared. So listen.
Disappeared from when they brought the Tesseract back, where they tried to abstract it in Endgame.
Yes, in Endgame. So yeah, so it starts off there, and Loki gets abducted or taken by these people in these uniforms.
The TVA, the Time Variant Association.
Time Variant, yeah, the TVA. So that's the first episode. So you don't know why he's taken by these people in uniform, and then it shows you what the TVA is, which is
excuse me, Time Variant Authority.
The authority. So he gets taken to the TVA, and there's this whole processing of Loki, and it's pretty dope because you don't realize what it is. You're as clueless as he is when you get there. Spoiler alert. And then you realize that the TVA technically is above everything that you know as Avengers. So everything that you know about Marvel, the MCU. So they are the timekeepers. So not only are they timekeepers, but they have unlimited control over all these entities and power structures and stuff that, people have used to try to dominate these universes, which is kind of cool. So one of the scenes, which is probably one of my favorite scenes, is you see one of the workers, and everyone has a desk job essentially. So it's this large corporate office building structure.
The longest 9 to 5 of all time, yes, literally.
Pretty much. These people have 9 to 5s. You come to find out that they don't know their life before the TVA. They've literally been there their entire existence, so-called. And then there's this one scene where the guy, he's at the desk job. He's at his desk, and he opens up the drawer, and it has all the Infinity Stones in it.
As paperweights. And the guy, and Loki's like, oh my God, you have the Infinity Stones? He's like, yeah, everyone uses these around here as paperweights. And then you realize, oh wow, this place is really the epitome of the collective, essentially, right? Universal power, yes.
Universal power. So it puts things into perspective, which is why I like the series. It put things into perspective for me that, these Infinity Stones could have been the end game, right? The end of everything. And here in this place, they mean nothing. The Tesseract means nothing. Everything means nothing that we take, or that the MCU took so seriously. So fast forward, there are some very interesting characters. I like that we see that Loki is multifaceted, right? So he's a bad guy, and I'm a villain. I love villains. And I love their backstory because, it kind of puts it into perspective that these people are villains, but everyone technically is a villain and everyone technically has a good side. So I like how it plays with Loki's conscience, and how he is able to navigate through like his wants and his needs, what he's learned and what he hasn't learned yet. And like you see the evolution of his growth and like how he's developed as a character. So it was like immense character development in this series. So that's one thing I liked about it. Another thing I liked about it is there's a lot of twists and turns. There's a lot of mystery. I was so into this series that I was like geeked out. I was on New Rockstars.
Shout out to Eric Voss and of course Charlie at Emergency Awesome with all the breakdowns and Easter eggs and whatnot.
Listen, can we talk about how Josh has always been talking about New Rockstars and I just never watched it until Loki. Confession.
And now you can't stop.
Yeah, now I can't stop. And I'm like, oh my God, like I need to know everything because the Easter eggs, I'm like, how are these people? Like how much time goes into this and expertise that they're able to like identify every single Easter egg, every single like detail of the show itself. And Marvel and Disney and I guess Disney, the creators of the MCU are very, very detailed and intentional.
Kevin Feige, shout out to you.
Yes, with they are intentional with a lot of details that as a novice viewer, you would just not even know. And so like for me, you know, ever since I've joined Mental Theater and, you know, Josh and I have like explored these videos, I'm starting to learn like, wow, everything's connected. It's like a giant soap opera. But not only is it connected, there's this own world inside of a world, inside of a world. And then like the New Rockstars, their breakdowns, they go into detail about how they're connected to the comic books, what could be happening, like potential outcomes of what can, you know, what might happen this season. Are they going to introduce this character or that character? What's the similarities and the differences? Like it's a lot of intricate details to the point where one of the breakdowns, they were looking in the background of one of the scenes and it was like some random language. And he took the time and decoded the language that was on the wall. And I was like, wow, this guy really has no time in his life. But guess what? It's giving him millions and millions of views because I'm interested. So like, I'm just really into it. Loki it was lit. I'm going to just say that it's lit. And then on top of that, I was looking at the, what's it called? The predictions.
Yes.
And I had my own prediction after I watched. I was like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. And a lot of the predictions came true, y'all. Came true. But Loki, I liked how there were different versions of Loki.
Variants, yes.
There's a lot to discuss. I don't think this is enough time to talk about all the intricate details that I noticed. But overall, I'm going to give Loki a 10 out of 10. And I'm so looking forward to like the next season. I'm looking forward to the movies that come out from this. Ant-Man is supposed to have characters from like everything is connected from Disney Plus. Like I said, Mike.
Oh.
Mike, I'm calling you out because you're not here.
Oh.
Should have been here to defend
People are
yourself.
so petty and tiny.
Wow, okay.
Should have been here to defend yourself. Mr. They're not going to introduce. Spoiler alert. Who did they introduce? Drop a bomb for me. On cue.
Yeah, right.
Bomb. Drop a bomb for me. When a clue's bombs. Let's go.
Yeah, but continue.
No bomb? We don't have that sound effect here?
I do, but I don't know where it is.
Oh, man. It's left me hanging. So anyway, Mike, they did, like I said, they was going to do it. But I only know that because I did a lot of research because I didn't even know who the man was before I started doing my research. But
just to paraphrase Mike, apparently Chloe is saying,
you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
That was not the version I said.
basically, petty gang over here.
But I'm just saying, I knew it because it's Disney and Disney Plus needs numbers and they're going to do what they need to do to get them numbers up and those subscriptions. So I'm not going to spoiler alert who that person is, but just know he there. And there were a lot of clues that led to him. And it's.
Oh, no, this is the spoiler discussion.
Oh, it is.
So
yes. So King the Conqueror, bleep, bleep, which he who remains, because it technically isn't King the Conqueror. So it's he who remains.
It's a version of him.
It's a version of him
who survived them all. Yes.
Yeah. So at the end, we find out that, you know, it's King the Conqueror who is behind the TVA. And honestly, I like the fact that they delved into his his kind of backstory. So they gave us the best version that we'll ever see of King the Conqueror as a nice guy, which he's going to be. He's going to be a bad guy from now on, and they killed the good king. So listen, it's all hell's about to break loose.
First of all, what is this they? Who killed the
Well, Sylvie.
Thank you.
Sylvie did. She did. She's him, technically. So they killed him.
Oh no, it's not they.
They're the same person.
They're definitely not.
That's what they say.
They're completely different.
They are completely different in the present time, but they are the same person. So he was her at a previous time and learned his lesson, which is why he's evolved. She's the less evolved version of him. It's kind of like, y'all ever see those memes and it's like the less evolved version, the evolved version. Like that's literally represented in this photo right here.
Interesting. Okay.
What were your thoughts about?
And before we get there, what did you think of Jonathan Majors, our boy from Lovecraft Country's portrayal of He Who Remains, Kang?
So before we touch on that, I just want to say Lovecraft Country has been canceled.
For a good reason.
Well, it's been canceled. And hey, shout out to Jonathan Majors because he's still getting to the bag. You feel me? Like he's getting to the bag because King the Conqueror has like unlimited variants, which only means that he's going to have money, Marvel money for like years to come. Like way more than he would have ever made on Love Country. And it's kind of sad because I love Country, but like he's smart. He did the right thing. He's getting to the bag. And I like how because King has different variants and versions of himself, that we get to see his acting repertoire, his range.
Yes.
From this, I like how it was portrayed, right? I was a little like, tag, why the bad guy gotta be black? But I'm serious. Like that's the first thing that stuck out to me. Is like, I guess we had Wakanda, but I'm just saying like, dang. But I'm happy for him as an actor. And I'm very curious to see how this character evolves and like the different versions that we're going to see of him. Was he black in the comics? I thought he was like purple in the comics.
Yeah, he had a blue tint.
Or blue, yeah. It's very interesting. I should watch it.
Yeah, he's a different alien type of thing.
Okay. Well, he's black here. And he's an actual mortal man. He's not like, he's not a god.
Well, he started as a mortal as well in the comics and then progressed over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they say it's pretty much aligned with the comics. Not exactly, but it's pretty much on cue. So I'm curious to see if we're going to run into the other Lokis, which I think they'll make a return, especially Alligator Loki. I think that we're going to see different variants of, that's what I want to say. They were, before the last season episode came out, episode 6 came out, the articles I was reading was like, Loki's going to be a game changer for all of MCU. And I'm trying to figure out why, like, how is this going to happen? And because King the Conqueror is like the man with the master plan when it comes to time traveling. And now there are different branches of timelines and universes. This literally has put the catalyst in like crossover movies. So like it's about to go down. Isn't there a Spider-Man crossover movie coming out?
Should be with Doctor Strange. So we'll see what happens with that. No Way Home. But then you have the Spider-Man with obviously the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield with the multiverse. So this event, as Chloé was alluding to, literally set up the multiverse.
Yes. So it's about to go down, basement. And what else now? What other point was that? So yeah, so the multiverse. And then King the Conqueror is about to be in every universe because they have to fight him, because apparently the reason why this is the good king is because all the other kings were trying to conquer everything, and it was a huge battle, and he won. And he said, in order for that battle not to occur again, I'm going to make a specific timeline that loops around and that does not change, so that the other ones cannot escape and come back to fight me and ruin the world. And apparently she killed them, so now he can't. The TVA is different. I'm very curious to learn more about Mobius, because they didn't really touch on that this season. I guess there's only 6 episodes, so I'm predicting next season they're gonna have like the, I guess, Mobius times 1,000, because in the comic books apparently there's like there's so many Mobiuses. And then they didn't really touch on Renslayer and how she's his love interest of Kane.
But they did touch on how she used to be a principal or vice principal at a school in Ohio
in 2018. So
that's around the blip.
Yes.
When Thanos did
when he did the snap, and they were saying that she probably sacrificed her life for another person's, and this is why she's become a member of the TVA, and she doesn't want it to be destroyed because something will come to light. And then they touched on Eliath, which was pretty cool. I think they did a good rendering of that from the comic book. So Eliath is this monstrous cloud thing. Looks like kind of like a dragon, and it sucks up energy. It eats energy. It consumes energy. So what had happened was, we find out that King the Conqueror basically used Eliath to take care of the void. So the void is where all the variants were sent when they weren't supposed to do stuff, or they weren't doing things right. People would get, zapped there, and then Eliath would destroy them. And one of the really cool things that I like about this is the theme about how Lokis never die. They never die. So you go to the void, and unlike other variants who have perished, there's just 20 different, 30 different, 40 different versions of Loki, because they never die. So even in the void, they still do not, they're just survivors. So like, it's interesting because we know because of that, Loki's never going to die. In my eyes, like none of his variants will ever die. And just to like bridge into this a little bit, we were watching on Netflix Ragnarok.
Amazing show. We'll review that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Later. But Ragnarok is basically about like Loki, Thor, whatever. But yeah, it was interesting to see that perspective in this Norse mythology. And I didn't know anything about Norse mythology. I just knew about Greek mythology. So this is also something new that I'm learning as we go along. So Loki's lit, and he's a bad guy, and but he's not really a bad guy. So yeah, those are the variants that survived, and I'm sure there's gonna be more. But like the thing about the variants is they're all different versions of the same person. So it's interesting because at their core, they're the same, but depending on their different, it's kind of like nurture versus nature argument, right? So depending on the genetics that you're born with and then the stimuli that you're exposed to, you'll have different outcomes possibly in how you carry yourself and how like your personality presents itself. So these are just different versions of the same person depending on their different stimuli, their character motivation, and like how they lived out their lives. But they're all the same person.
It's very interesting because there's a possibility that the variants in the new universe after Sylvie killed Kang, the Loki variants could be completely different as well, potentially in the void. So we'll see what happens with that.
Because it's dependent on the timeline, right?
Exactly. And in the new timeline, spoiler alert, after Sylvie killed He Who Remains, which is the most logical, methodical, and the calm, I'm not going to say docile, but calm and composed version of Kang, she killed him. So, and he let her know as soon as that he dies, he's the only one keeping the more robust Kangs away who love to conquer, right? So now that he has died by the hands of Sylvie, Loki variant, the only female Loki variant. Now, we see when Loki goes back to the TVA, Loki is now in a different reality because both Mobius and Renslayer have no idea who he is. Excuse me, not Renslayer, but the B13, who was also
B15,
who was also in Lovecraft.
Yo, so listen to this though. I'm curious to know, how did he get to keep his memory even though the timelines changed?
Well, he witnessed it. So for me, if you're at the vantage point of the person who's controlling time, to me, in terms of continuity, that would allow you to keep your memories.
So does that mean that his timeline stayed the same and everyone else's changed? Because technically, if you want to get like technical, if she killed him, everybody's timeline would change. So he wouldn't have any recollection of what happened, right?
Not if you witness it.
How does that's confusing to me. This whole time travel thing is confusing.
Well, again, if the person who's controlling time offers you to control that time, clearly there's a loophole in what you're talking about.
Okay. So then what about the variants? So would they know the things? What about the guy who killed Goliath? The Loki that killed Goliath?
I don't think he killed him. He
distracted him and killed himself. Vanished. Would his timeline change too?
I mean, we'll see. It's a possibility.
So
we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see if one of them pop up, and Doctor Strange 2, the Multiverse of Madness, or Spider-Man No Way Home, or Thor 4 Love and Thunder, or Ant-Man 3. We'll see. They might pop up.
Okay, so another point I would like to make is that moving forward, I think I'm not 100%, but I would bet that all the shows that are on Disney Plus are going to be after King the Conqueror changed everything. So they're going to have new timelines. Because what's the next show that comes out on Disney?
What If, which is his own thing.
Yeah, but What If basically is based on the timelines changing. That's why it's the What If.
Again, that's fair.
That makes sense. That's why it's like, oh, what if this person was that person? Because the timeline changed.
And to your point, it's allowing the novice fan to come to grasp with a different changing timeline.
Before they hit us with the movie, like, bam. Because if you don't understand this timeline stuff, like even Back to the Future still confuses me. Like, I probably have to watch that another like 3 times. But like,
it's not on Netflix anymore.
I know. It's all right. I'll figure it out. It'll be back on somewhere. But I think that they just did some really dope stuff. And I can't wait to see it come to life in Disney, in the theme parks. Oh, speaking of that, can we talk really briefly about in Disneyland, California, how they have these animatronic. No, they're called, I forgot the term, but basically they're robots who do aerobatics. Why does that word sound weird? Aerobatics? I'm saying that right? Aerobics. Aerobatics. That's the Black English version.
How about
aerobics?
Acrobatic
feats. I said aerobatics. I mean my own word up. Jeez. They're doing acrobats and they're robots. There's a name.
Spider-Man is clean for.
It's a name for it, and it's pretty dope. Like, oh my god, these robots that they're creating in Disney World are like next level.
And we actually have one of our Avengers, Nate Dogg, University of Miami and UCLA grad student, who actually went to Avengers campus out in Cali because he's living out in LA. And he sent us all this animatronics that Chloe is referring to. And there's a whole documentary on it, or a video on YouTube that Chloe, looked at. And she's like all for it. So that'll definitely be another stop that we're going to see. And as soon as it loads, I'll play it. And here we go.
Spider-Man is clean for takeoff. Oh, yo. This might hurt. I'm okay.
So that's an actual robot. Like that's a life-size robot doing those flips in the air. And the first time I saw the video when he sent it, it didn't really register to me that was a robot. It kind of looks like
I thought it was just a hologram at first.
Nope, it's a whole robot. And the thing about the robot is they made it super smart so that it can self-adjust in the air to do the different flips. Listen, it's going down in Disney. And then they have this other little robot that they're doing. It's like a freestanding walking robot that interacts with people and they could talk to it. And they're making one out of Groot. So Groot could just walk around the amusement park and talk to people.
That makes the most sense because all he's going to say is, I am Groot.
Exactly.
Low maintenance.
Low maintenance, right? They don't got to load 1,000 vocabulary words in there. But apparently he's going to be able to like walk around and do stuff. They have animatronics are like ridiculous now at Disney. And it's kind of scary. It reminds me of Black Mirror a little bit. It's a little freaky, but it's cool.
I would say more Terminator than Black Mirror, but that's just me.
Both. It's Black Mirror plus the Terminator.
Black Mirror.
Like Terminator. That's
You know what? I think they're gonna have an animatronics that's gonna be able to do this.
I don't think that's gonna happen. Let's try it. Oh yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
But perhaps do it correctly, a correct nip up. Shout out to Tony Stark Jr., Big Mike. They had other plans, but we want to shout out the Avengers. And we're all going to have a spoiler discussion of Loki tomorrow on the Big Mike Little Ant channel as well. So we got to shout out them. But yes, for me, Loki, and I made a video about this afternoon, and I kind of went on my little rant how I was disappointed by the finale and how Loki was essentially neutered. This TVA version of Loki was neutered. He wasn't being strategic, which is one of his biggest talents. I compared him to Tyrion Lannister, one of those people who's an amazing strategist. That's his talent. And he's so valuable that even if he does treacherous things, he's so valuable that you still keep him alive. That's a lot of value. If you're doing treacherous, evil, sinister, narcissistic things, and they still keep you alive, you have a lot of value. But look, this version of the TVA Loki with the suspenders looking like what was it called? Like Mel Gibson and Danny Glover and what's the movie called?
Lethal Weapon.
Lethal Weapon. Like it's like Loki's too old for this ish. Like come on. He to me, he's completely neuter. He didn't have any strategy, and he didn't have any decisive action because he essentially allowed Sylvie to do what she did. And again, he knows himself, right? Loki narcissistically fell in love with himself. It happened to be a female version, right? So he understood how cunning he can be. So to me, and I said this to you, Chloe, after we were watching it, it was so obvious that what Sylvie was going to do, because after they kissed, she got into position closer to Kang, he who remains, and then she, sent Loki through the TVA doorway portal, and then she stabbed Kang, and Kang didn't stop her as well. So for me, once he tells you that they're gonna have other versions of me that are gonna be worse and more lethal and less forgiving, at a Thanos level, if not even worse, to me, that was, again, and I get it. She was a little girl in Asgard who was abducted without an explanation and on the run ever since. I get that. I sympathize. I empathize with that. However, if literally the universe and the timeline was literally offered to you on a golden platter, a platinum platter, and you decide to do that, you and your feelings. Too much. Way too much.
I'm gonna say 2 words and then I'm gonna follow that up. Number 1, petty gang.
Shout out to Mr. Urban World. What up?
What's up, Mr. Urban World? Yes, sir.
And we only sign them in person, so whenever you're ready.
Okay. So number 1 is petty gang, right? Loki is petty gang. We know that. And number 2, emotions. They both were victims of their emotions and irrational emotions and just doing stuff because of their feelings.
You people are so petty and tiny.
acting like mortals.
Feelings. She was in her feelings because they stole her whole life, and she could have just gotten it back, but she was, in her feelings. She wasn't thinking straight.
First of all, if they offer you essentially restitution, right? They give you a way to balance it, and they give you a way to rewrite history, so you don't even have to feel like that, and then you still do it.
Well, okay, let me just offer this perspective. She probably was like, I don't want anyone to take them but I don't want them to do the same thing they did to me to somebody else. Like, yeah, I could rewrite my timeline, but somebody else's timeline is going to get ruined, just like mine was when I was a little girl. So we need to put an end to this now.
Whoa, because she would be in charge of it.
That was yeah.
She would be in charge of it. He did
offer her.
Offered them, both of them.
To be. I don't know. Sylvie was just in her feelings.
I would say a lack of responsibility and accountability, and she could have unleashed a worse. I'm not going to say a worse version of Thanos, but someone on par, if not worse.
He might be worse. He might be worse because there's more than one of him, and they're all going to be in the same place at the same time.
In different realities, by the way.
Yeah, like multi-universes. It's going to be a multi-universal war.
The MCU multiverse. We're going to coin that term here.
Yeah, the multiverse civil war. Yeah, I don't know. You know what else was pretty dope? What he said, and I had to be like, yo, King the Conqueror, he's lit. He was like, I'm the bad guy. When he called her out on her BS. That's when like it
grow
all
up,
went down.
Grow up, Sylvie. Yes.
He said, grow up. And she really took that to heart.
You know why? I think he was a little tongue in cheek there. I think he knew without a shadow of a doubt that Sylvie would kill him no matter what. I think he knew that. So that's why he said preemptively, Sylvie, grow up. Because if you don't act like an adult with your emotions, you're going to F everything up.
And she did. So okay, this is an even deeper level, right? This is my conspiracy theory, is that King the Conqueror was tired of being the TVA and wanted them to kill him anyway.
Well, sure, he was living for 1,000,000 years. I get that.
So he's over it. He like, I'm done. I'm tired of working this 9 to 5. The ruse is up. Y'all have fun and I'll be back here again because it's a loop. The whole universe is a loop. That's what they revealed. So like he knows that he's going to come back anyway. That's why he says, see you soon in my 20, 30, 40 different versions of myself. And then I'll win again because I'm the top one. Because if you realize in the beginning of the episode when they were going through the universe beginning, it like started at the Big Bang and then it ended and then it went back to the Big Bang and then it ended. So it's literally like the reincarnation cycle of like 1,000,000 years or however many years, but it's just one giant circle going and going and going. So they're going to come back.
So you're telling me that Disney had Marvel demonstrate the circle of life, not only life, but the existence. That's interesting.
Yep. The Lion King, Wakanda, the Lion King, all of that. You feel me? So it's going down. I mean, it's interesting because then they even put like historical moments in there. Like you could hear there were different historical moments, voices being played, and it just showed you that. Because if you remember, they had like tools to reverse the timeline to go back, or like what was it called to when they could just banish the whole timeline? What was that called?
Not banish, but what's it called?
They reset it, but
they reset. That's what it is.
But you can also terminate it. Like you can also like banish it. Yeah, whatever. But it's about to go down. I'm all for seeing Miles Morales. You know what I really want to see? And if this happens, I'm be so excited. If they took Miles Morales, the comic book, and took him out of that and made him real life in the multiverse. Because he was the first multiverse character. Step into the multiverse. He was really the first introduction of this whole thing when he had all different Spider-Mans at one time, remember? So they've been priming us for this for a while.
Well, of course, it was already in the comics to begin with.
Well, priming the viewers who don't read the comics.
More specifically, priming us on a corporate level, because now it opens the door with Sony with Spider-Man, right? But also Fox, which Disney acquired with X-Men.
Are you serious? Are they gonna cross universes with Wolverine?
I mean, they have to, because in the comics, they're all in the same universe.
Yeah. I can't wait. I loved X-Men. I was really into X-Men growing
Favorite
up.
X-Men character?
It used to be Storm because she was black.
Halle Berry.
And I used to like her because she was black. I was like, yeah, girl. But who else?
I think everyone loved Halle Berry, but yes.
I'm talking about before. I used to actually read the comics of X-Men. So I'm just saying. Batman. Who else did I like? I liked.
You said Batman?
I said Batman.
Oh, okay.
Him. I wasn't really a Wolverine. I bet not say Storm. Too late. Who else did I like in X-Men? I guess Wolverine was kind of cool because he could shoot the lasers out his eyes.
That was Cyclops. Wolverine actually has the adamantium claws.
He did. Then he used to shoot the stuff. He used to shoot the He had vision too.
He had healing properties. He could heal rapidly.
I remember that, but I remember in a comic seeing Wolverine with beams coming out his eyeballs. Maybe I'm thinking something else.
Okay, I just remember Scott Lang, not Scott Lang, but Scott from X-Men, Cyclops.
Well, the X-Men movies were lit. I saw a meme. It was like, wait, so Professor X can move stuff with his mind, but he can't move his legs.
That's a great one. That's facts. Like. However, I think he's doing that for a reason.
Like, I know, but it's just funny because, like, yeah,
to me, it's a competitive reason, because if you see someone in a wheelchair, automatically, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, I think this is just human nature. You're gonna automatically underestimate them because they're in a wheelchair. So, in that superhero sense, I think it's a competitive advantage that you're not capable of what he's doing. Just like us as human beings aren't capable of what amazing things people in wheelchairs can do. Some people in wheelchairs can bench press more than all of us combined.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. So yeah, I just think it's competitive advantage, a little bit of showmanship, and showmanship. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's gonna be lit though. I'm excited for that.
Absolutely. So are you ready to dive into Black Widow?
Sure, why not?
So just candidly, your thoughts on Natasha Romanoff's not origin story. It was somewhat of an origin story, but her time in between Civil War and Infinity War.
Okay, I would say that before her backstory, I was not too fond of her character.
Can you articulate why, please?
I just thought it was like unrealistic.
Really?
Like just some random chick is without any superpowers gonna be out here fighting. She doesn't have a lot of money, so it's not like she's Tony Stark and she has like a Iron Man suit. It's not like she's Batman or something that has a whole bunch of money and has like resources. She's just some random woman who can just fight. But
who's a trained assassin?
She's an assassin, but that assassins, if you get hit by a man, it's gonna hurt.
I would agree, but at the same time, if you understand the properties of martial arts similar to Krav Maga literally teaches you how to absorb the effects of a punch by moving your body and just taking it in and then continuing.
I get that, but I just can't see Jackie Chan fighting the Hulk or somebody or fighting Thanos.
But remember, she's not fighting any of those people. What she's doing is she's using her abilities and her agility, more specifically, right, to essentially disarm people. Her competitive advantage is her fighting prowess and the ability to understand her limitations. In addition, more specifically, to understand the limitations of those that she is fighting. She's exploiting weaknesses.
Okay, I'm gonna say I get that. I acknowledge that. However, there's no man in the MCU who does that without any special things. Even Falcon has wings. So her doing stuff without any, like if they would have threw something like, I don't know, a Wonder Woman whipping her hand or something, I'd be like, okay, I get it. But she had nothing. So I was just like, what is she doing here?
Well, remember, in the comics, she does have a lot of advanced technology. So she has cloaking tech. She can make her entire existence invisible. So she has that ability. She has the ability to sneak up on people. She has the ability to, at the most opportune time, attack.
Okay, so
that's like fighting IQ. Her fighting IQ is extremely high. It's Einstein level.
I get that.
And again, I understand what you're saying, and I agree. Remember, Tony and I spar all the time about Batman versus Superman because it's the battle of the mortal billionaires. I get it. And I guess for Natasha Romanoff, I think if you think about how she was created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, so RIP and respect to both of those gentlemen, it was during a time where you had, things like the Cold War. So where Russia was an incredible threat, and she was not born and raised, but essentially she was raised and created in Russia in that ruthless, no matter what, we're gonna, execute our mission environment. And I think she's the epitome of that. And again, I understand what you're saying in terms of being realistic, but we're in the MCU, we're in the comic verse, where things that, let's say in reality, don't exist. We have no idea if they could, right? There could be a god of thunder, there could be a god of mischief, right? Lowercase g, right? However, in this lane, in this world, in this universe, these things are possible.
Well,
so suspend your disbelief.
Well, my disbelief was suspended after I saw the movie. But I'm saying prior to me watching the movie, I'm like, who is this chick? I don't understand. Like, does she have the suit? Even if I wish they would have gave her the super serum, and then I think I would have respected her more. Because it just was so unrealistic to me. Like, I don't even know your background. I don't know anything about you except for you're just a woman with red hair that fights with the Hulk. And like, you're an Avenger. Like, how you even become an Avenger, lady? Like, what's so special about you? I don't know. You're just the female Jackie Chan or something. Like, I don't know. It's just not realistic when they're fighting supernatural beings. If they were just fighting like regular bad guys, like, I don't know, like some assassins or something, I probably could grasp that. But before her origin story, I was just not a fan. After her origin story, I get it. But she's dead now, so it doesn't even matter.
And thank you, Chloe. that was my main point. This movie should have actually came out in its chronological order in between Civil War and Infinity War. So it should have been, you should have had Black Panther, then this movie specifically, and then Infinity War. Again, that's just
because then I would have cared about her dying. I didn't care that she died.
Exactly. Well, again, I think some of us did, but I understand as a casual fan, I understand exactly what you mean.
For me, I was just like, oh, I mean, people probably care because it's Scarlett Johansson, but
ScarJo.
If it wasn't her, would people care? Like, I don't know. Like, I didn't really care. I was just like, oh, okay. It's not like Spider-Man dying or like, Iron Man or Captain America. Just her. But I like the movie. Out of 10 stars, I'm going to give it a strong 7. Because when we went to movie theaters, the volume was really low, which was strange. And like, I felt like I had to be super quiet in there. I couldn't even like hear barely what they were saying.
There was no Dolby surround sound apparently at AMC. So yeah, AMC and Market Fair.
I should have said something. I'll get my money back. You feel me? It was late though. I'm not even gonna complain, but it would have made the movie. I would have gave it a 7.5 stars if I could actually hear what was going on. But my favorite characters was actually not either one of these two. It was her dad. Even though I didn't like him at first because he didn't do what was right, but her dad was he stole the show for me because he was funny.
Is that the only reason? Just because he was funny?
I liked his character. Yeah, he was funny. Everything else was just so like, I mean, the fighting was good in it, I guess. The backstory, I wish they would have spent more time. That's what I wish. I wish they would have spent more time of them when they took them to get trained. Like they stole the little girls, they put them in this camp. You know nothing about the camp. Like I wish they would have showed exactly the type of training that the kids got, which they didn't show. So
well, they alluded to it. Though.
I don't want to allude. I need explicit details. Like I wanted to see them like.
But we saw bits and pieces though.
It wasn't enough for me.
I think the point is to allow your imagination to fill in the blank.
I wanted to see this movie so I could see what they were. How did they become these super assassins? Like, what did they do to them exactly?
Well, remember, as an educator of young minds yourself, to see at what age they took them, and then how quickly they were teaching them assassin moves. So if you're able to scale that from that vantage point, how amazing could they be? How lethal could they be if you learn that at an elementary age, at a, let's say 8, 9, 10?
Well, yes, I understand that. I'm not saying that that's not true. I'm just saying I wanted to see it. It's like somebody saying, oh, there's a giant monster outside. He has gray hair. And like you just see a glimpse of it. No, I want to see the monster. I want to see what he eats. I want to see how he walks. I want to see every little bit. I feel like they spent too much time on other stuff and they should have spent more time in the training camp so you could really see how much of a beast she is and how she's able to be an Avenger. They didn't really show that. They just was like, oh, little girls getting stolen in like little bits and pieces. And then it's like, oh, they're grown now. And now they're fighters. Like, nah, like I wanted to see them when when they were stolen or given back. And I want to see how they were developed into how she is able to fight off interdimensional beings. Not just, oh, I'm supposed to fill in the blanks. I could have been filled in the blanks with the other movies. I basically just saw her fighting more. Like I want to see her as a kid fighting, like, and her sister, like, and apparently they chose them based on their genetics. They didn't really go into detail about that. Like I wanted to see way more details about that. But like you said, they just alluded to it, like, oh, let your imagination take over. No, I didn't come to see this movie for imagination. But that's my only gripe with the movie. And like I said, the dad was the funniest part, so I liked him. And what's his name? Red Guardian. Red Guardian. He was funny.
Cold War, yeah.
Yeah, he was the first super soldier before Captain America.
No.
That's what he said in the movie.
No.
Who was the first super soldier?
Captain America. He
was saying how he had beef with Captain America.
Right, but Captain America was frozen when he had beef.
wait, he became you gotta fill in the blanks for that.
So this is during the Cold War when you had sleeper agents, let's say in the 80s and then in the 90s around that time, and Cap wasn't a capsicle until after 2000, 2008, 2010, maybe around that time.
What's his name again? Red what?
Red Guardian.
Red Guardian. I need to Google this man because he was talking about how he had issues with Captain America. And he fat and he put his suit on.
It still fits.
That was funny. And nobody in the theater was laughing. That's how I knew the volume was down. Nobody was paying attention.
I mean, for me, both Black Widow, Natasha, and her, baby sister, and this gentleman here, the Red Guardian, all of their jokes. It wasn't funny for me. I feel like if you're a fan of Guardians of the Galaxy, you would have thought that humor was, you probably would have been giggling like Chloé here.
It was funny.
But for me, I was just like,
Okay, so Red Guardian is the Russian Captain America.
Yes.
But was he there before?
And he has a shield, so yes.
Oh man. Okay. Created Soviet. Okay, so he was created as the Soviet equivalent of Captain America. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Okay. So that's my thoughts about the movie. What were your thoughts on the movie?
As I said before, I just think it should have been chronologically in the MCU where it should have been between Civil War and Infinity War, either before or after. Probably after. Actually, no. You could actually have Black Panther and that movie back to back instead of, like Ant-Man and the Wasp. I would prefer to have this film, to be honest.
What would you rank it?
I would give it a 6, and I forgot to rank my Loki series.
Oh yeah.
I would rank that at 8. And because of how the ending was, that's what made it 8. Would have been a 9, but it made it an 8 for me.
Really?
Oh yeah.
What would have made? Oh, because of neutered.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was that. So would I recommend you go see Black Widow in the movie theaters? No. Stay home and watch it at home.
No, that's fair, because the entire time I was saying, like, you know what? We have 4K TV. We have, Samsung surround sound. I was like, we could have watched this and it probably had been a better experience. And to be fair, we did pay what, $30+ for both of us to go to the movie. So if we just paid $30 to watch it on, early access or whatever it's called on Disney Plus.
Or we could have just waited till it was free.
I mean, I probably wouldn't have waited. But.
Or we could have used somebody else's password now, right?
Yeah, we're not doing those type of things over here. We're Avengers Club. Thank you very much.
It's a family pass.
You doing that Loki-ish.
Listen. Yo. But listen, do not go spend your money on this movie at the movies, y'all.
Wow. And you gave it a 7.5?
Because he was funny. That's it. I said a 7.
You said 7.5.
I said a 0.5 if I could hear it.
Right.
But I couldn't hear it, so it's a 7.
Nah, that's why I said 6. and again, I could hear it, but
I think if you would have laughed, it would have been a 7. But it was a good storyline. I'm not gonna lie. The storyline was cohesive. There were a lot of moments you're like, oh snap. Like how the girl. This is spoiler.
Of course.
Natasha, that's her name, right? Black Widow, killed the man's daughter. So she was a bad guy too.
But we already knew that.
Yes, but I didn't know that. So, so it goes back to these are bad people pretending to be good, but they're really bad, and they want to ignore how bad they are because it's for the greater good.
Again, it's not ignoring; it's just pushing it aside. Kind of like Hulk. Hulk did a lot of awful things to innocent bystanders, but we still need him because he's the Hulk.
And that's also her boyfriend. So,
they never actually sealed the deal, so we can't actually say that term.
Yeah, we don't know no, she died. She did. But, I'm just saying she killed the girl, but technically she didn't kill her. She just blew her face off. And then he turned her into a killer.
Taskmaster. Who's a different villain in the Marvel comics, but they had a different twist. That was interesting.
So was she still a bad guy? Because at the end it looked like she turned into a good girl. Yeah,
I think that's the story arc that they're going with for this.
So she's gonna be an Avenger too with the sister.
Again, I'm not gonna say all that. I think they're gonna have their own little Black Widow regime. They're gonna be their own fighting force. They're gonna be equivalent to the Dama Milaje of Wakanda, but in terms of like Black Widows. And I have a feeling that we're gonna see both Black Widows, all of them, and the Dama Milaje in the future in phase 4 and 5 in an eventual, Avengers movie where they all come out to defeat a variant of Kang, something like that.
She gonna have to fight somebody because she's a beast. I was like, how's she ever gonna be? That's another thing. I'm like, how is she fighting this thing?
Who?
Natasha.
Fighting what?
That thing, the Taskmaster. There's no way she would have won. There's no way. The only way you could beat her is if you chop her head off.
Like the White Walkers.
That's it. That's it. That's the only way. And you might not even get that close because anything she sees, she can do. She can mimic. Crazy. I like that superpower. I think that's probably a superpower I would want if I was a fighter.
It's not a superpower. It's more of an algorithm. Because let's not forget Tony Stark and Jarvis. They can do that with the Iron Man suit. The Iron Man suit can do that.
It can mimic anybody's move?
Of course. In Civil War, we see him tell Jarvis to map out Captain America's fighting style so he can defend it. And he did.
If he's connected to Jarvis, but if not, on its own.
Right. But in this instant, Taskmaster has similar technology. So
well, it's gonna come in handy in the multiverse war.
Maybe we'll see. I have no idea.
Yeah, don't spend your money on that, y'all. You could wait till it's free.
And as we transition to Space Jam 2, A New Legacy on HBO Max, we didn't go to the movies to see this, but we saw it on HBO Max. What did you think about that, Chloe?
I wish we would have saw it in the movie.
Right. Those are my thoughts. And again, I said this in the mental theater group today, and it caused a lot of controversy. But I was actually more disappointed from the Loki finale and Black Widow than I was with Space Jam 2. Because again, I had very, very extremely low expectations, and I had higher expectations for Black Widow and Loki series finale.
I ain't have any expectations for Black Widow. Honestly, I probably have very low expectations. Loki, it was aligned with what I expected, which is what I liked. And then Space Jam was cute. It was so different. I was just like, how are they gonna remake Space Jam? Because when they remake movies, they usually mess them up real bad. But this one, it was good. Like, I was talking to my mom earlier. She said she didn't like the first Space Jam. I was like, what do you mean you didn't like it? I had to think about it. I was like, did I only like it because I was a kid watching it? Or like if I would have watched it as an adult for the first time, would I have liked it still? I don't know. But Space Jam is very nostalgic for me. I actually had Space Jam socks that I bought yesterday to go skating in. But Space Jam, this go around, number 2 was lit. Like, I liked the whole technology aspect that they put in there. They made a lot of references. There was a lot of references that you wouldn't think they would make, like jokes. They referenced the last Space Jam movie. There were a lot of guest star appearances. I like how they incorporated all the Warner Brothers shows. Franchises.
So Harry Potter was in there.
HBO.
Game of Thrones is in there.
They had a lot of different characters in there. Just like, what?
And Michael Jordan was in there. Michael B. Jordan. So that was hilarious. And I have to shout out Big Mike and Nate, because I'm gonna read what they said about this, and we'll see if this holds weight. Big Mike said, "This new Space Jam might be the top 5 worst movie of all time. I think he's being a little over dramatic because he's not really a fan of LeBron James. In fact, he actually hates LeBron. So I think that's showing a little bit there." And then Nate said, "Dan, that's pretty harsh for a kid's movie. I felt one of the issues that had 2 main stories I wanted to tell. Should have settled on one and have it develop better. I would not have focused on LeBron and Son story because LeBron can't act. That's fair. I mean, his range is not that much. So I think the story arc kind of fit his range, to be honest. Again, that's just me." And Nate also said, should have focused more on the AIG algorithm, right? Don Cheadle and this Toon storyline. LeBron could have used their help rather than the reverse. But at the same time, I would also say, if I'm LeBron and I'm going to a meeting with Warners and this happens to me, yeah, Superman, Batman, Harry Potter, whoever, where y'all at? I want y'all on the team. I don't want the Looney Tunes. The Looney Tunes is the last people you want.
Well, the Looney Tunes won the last game, so
Excuse me, Michael Jordan won the last game.
Yeah, and LeBron won this game, but the Looney Tunes were the ones who they needed to win to compete against who he chose. Just saying. It wasn't a real basketball game.
Bro, it was an arcade game. It was
but
like
not only, but
it was like not it was like NBA Jam.
Kinda, but there was also like cheating and like all types of stuff. I wasn't really focused on the game part. I was focused on for me, I liked all the the funny stuff like Porky Pig rapping, freestyling.
The Notorious P.I.G.
That was hilarious.
He had some bars too.
He did have bars. And I liked all the cameos of all the other shows. Like there were White Walkers at the game. The other stuff was cheesy, but it's a kids movie, so what do you expect? But Bugs Bunny funny. Like there were a lot of jokes. Remember they was joking. How did Anthony Davis feel about them talking about his eyebrow?
But he trademarked the phrase "fear the brow." He knows about his unibrow.
Well,
he's making right. He's making money off it. He could have easily, did something with that, like get his barber to do it, every day or once a week. But he decided to keep it as a signifier. So, that's part of it. I mean, he got paid for it, so I'm sure he's okay with it.
It was a lot of jokes, LeBron James jokes.
Yeah, like, oh, you left Miami, you left Cleveland twice. Lakers, look out. That was hilarious.
So I like the little innuendos and the little jokes. But what would you rank that movie?
I mean, again, for me, it's total nostalgia. So again, I love Space Jam. I was of that age where I'm absolutely obsessed with Michael Jordan, everything that he did, but especially that age where I would love a cartoon / live action movie with Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny. So that for me, I love the original Space Jam, and for to have a part 2, because no matter what you do, you can't have part 2 be better than part 1. No matter what happened, there's nothing you could ever do to make part 1 that I think was used. So you have the algorithm and the technology that makes this type of world possible.
There you go.
There we go. Yep. So yes, in terms of the technology, I think it fits. I think it's a modern interpretation of Space Jam, which is why I appreciate it, because it talks about how, the algorithm or the Warner 3000 is able to look at you through your smartphone, have all the data, which is incredibly realistic. Reminds me of Snowden, right? And then you have the father-son story. So now I'm thinking, as a director, I'm thinking like Ryan Coogler. He was able to capture that in the Creed franchise with Michael B. Jordan, who was also in the film. And he was also able to capture that in Black Panther. So Ryan Coogler was handpicked by LeBron. Like, hey, listen, you can, remake a cult classic in not only the Black community, but for people who are basketball fans and cartoon fans, which LeBron is both a basketball fan and a cartoon fan. And I was incredibly surprised that Disney allowed both Don Cheadle, who's War Machine in the MCU currently, right now, he was just on Falcon Winter Soldier, and also Ryan Coogler, who's the director of Black Panther 1 and going to be the director of Black Panther 2. Hopefully that doesn't, go downhill, so he can be the director of Black Panther 3, to be the director of this movie, which is in Warner Brothers, which is, Disney's main adversary. So I thought that was fantastic that Disney was okay with that. So I appreciated that as well.
Don't worry, you didn't miss anything with Black Widow.
Wait. You didn't see Loki yet? Mr. Urban World, come on,
Wait,
man.
any of the shows? Oh, bro, you have to watch Loki.
Come on, Mr. Urban World. You love these lives. You know you gotta watch. You gotta do the required reading and the required watch. You gotta do the homework, man. Come on.
Loki's the most important thing that you should watch.
Did you at least catch up on Falcon and Winter Soldier and WandaVision? Did you at least get there?
It's lightning outside.
Thunder. We have Thor flying around outside.
It's a tornado earlier in Middlesex County. I was like, it's coming this way. It didn't come. Maybe it's here now.
We already had a tornado here when you was in Philly.
I was almost in Philly again tonight. Dana. WandaVision. Now, WandaVision ain't got nothing on Loki.
So you still need to watch Falcon and Winter Soldier?
I would watch Loki before anything. Something with me changed. DC. So did you watch Snyder Cut?
Yeah, did you watch Snyder Cut?
You're frozen again.
Titan season 3.
Titan.
This is great. I just had to stop watching it because Chloe didn't really interested in it. I'm probably
it's something to watch. Okay, if I finish watching Ragnarok, I'm watching Titan. It was
really good.
Really? I didn't have that same feeling.
We got Ragnarok outside.
I know it's coming down out there and it's lightning. Did you watch Ragnarok?
On Netflix.
On Netflix.
Which is the epitome of... Oh, no. Sound is coming in and out. That makes sense. Okay.
Is it for both of us or just him?
No, it's both of us because we're using the same audio interface.
Oh, man.
But yes, Ragnarok is really good. It's on Netflix. If you like Norse mythology, I think you'll enjoy it. It's like the Bible coming alive. It's interesting.
Yeah, it was all right. Like, I would give that like 6.
I would give that a 7.5.
It was boring. I thought it was boring. I like Norse mythology, and maybe the season 2 will be better, but
no, we watched season 1 and season 2.
Maybe season 3 will be
I mean, again, I'm not going to give a spoiler alert, but he just got something that is very intricate to Thor.
You don't want to know my recent. What did he say?
Actually, we actually do. Again, Mr. Urban World, you're our social networks enigma. We definitely want to know. Fear Street, which is a 3-movie series. I have 2 more to watch. What about Lupin? That's what we need to watch. We need to watch Lupin as well.
Tonight. We actually started rewatching Game of Thrones.
We did.
And I'm falling in love with it again. I'm sorry. But I'm like, am I gonna fall in love with it again and then still be disappointed? Wow. Or am I gonna be I think it is a tornado. Or am I gonna be accepting of it?
No, it's just a thunderstorm watch. And finish Tomorrow War. So, Mr. Did you watch Big Mike and Little Ants? Oh, it probably went out again.